Hey everyone, my name is Coach Rob DeBoer, and whether you know me or not, there's a good chance you know the person that sent this to you. This has been several years in the making before I've ever actually done a video like this, and it's a very proactive video based on, gosh, the past 6, 7, 8 years of my life in business, and I'll tell you why. I was privileged to be a part of a company startup. Uh, we had access to some exclusive patents. We had to figure out how to make this nutrition technology palatable so people would actually use it, but also cost effective. Fast forward several years, I guess this is now going on our 8th year. Um, Prove It, the kind of category king when it comes to exogenous ketone supplementation, has now done, I don't know, over $1 billion in total sales, multiple country release. And the reason this is long due in the making is because I was never really proactive in this business model. In other words, call it network marketing, multi-level marketing, social networking, whatever you want to call it. I called it, one of those pyramid Amway deals where the guy at the top makes all the money. I've come to realize this is a very real product with a very real consumer customer base that is residual income over time. And the reason I'm reaching out is because I used to be part of the health, fitness, nutrition industry, and I've seen the exponential benefit this can offer to a business owner. So we're speaking to a very specific group right now, and this is people that are in health, fitness, nutrition that also have the entrepreneurial spirit, but the heart to truly help people. I don't think anybody gets into health, fitness, nutrition, or personal training. My background was personal training and athlete training. I had my own facility, and the goal is to pursue what we love, but there's nobody becoming rich and buying back time in that industry. And so we're always looking for opportunities, and I think we've got a really good one. Like I say, this is multiple years in the making before I realized, let me look back over the past few years and how real is this income coming in? And what I came to find is I have a very residual customer base without a bunch of promotional volume. You'll hear that in this industry. Is it promotional volume or is it real volume? Because I never really pursued the opportunity. What I've done is create a customer base of loyal customers and then educate them on this product. Now, let me jump through the hoop of the product. Let's assume we have real patents, a real product that stood the test of time over the last 7, 8 years that would never compromise your credibility and creates greater compliance for the end user, your customer, your consumer, your member, your athlete, your sphere of influence. So let's just assume we've got a real product with a real benefit, with real application to everyone that is part of your very real business. The reason this is so important is because we now want to scale this. We want to reach out and be proactive and find people that, you know what, I would love a different means of revenue or income that doesn't compromise my credibility in the space that I've built so hard to make. So I brought on a couple of friends. Dustin Schaefer is someone that by default, he had to pursue the ketogenic diet. And let me be very clear, this is about a drink, not a diet. I do probably the opposite of keto, but because our product is an exogenous ketone product, people oftentimes write this off immediately and make that mistake. I don't want you to go there. I want you to assume, for the sake of this conversation, this is much more than you think it is, and it really would apply. Let's just agree, okay, you can talk to me about the science and validate the credibility after the fact. So assuming that is true, I want to go show you what you can do. Dustin, you were kind of on the opposite end. Like, you didn't have to go create this customer proof ideology. You actually pursued the opportunity. That's why you've turned this into a much bigger business. And now we're coming together. So if you would share your story, number one, your experience in the industry, but also number two, why this might make sense to someone. And then I'm going to bring on my great friend, Michelle Smay, who is actually the first CrossFit box up in Canada that actually came on board. And if you're looking for a skeptic, Michelle and her husband, John, the Smays, were those skeptics. So stay tuned, Dustin. I'll throw it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Rob. I'm super excited to be on with this, especially in the health and fitness industry, because I think there's a big gap. When I was 30 years old, like Rob said, I was not well. I had some autoimmune issues and some sicknesses, and I had to pursue the ketogenic diet. And at the same time, I realized my body was breaking down, and I'm like, how can I do this job, this fitness job, forever? I was looking for a wife. I had met my wife at the time, didn't know it yet, and I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to buy a house, and I started doing the math and realizing that trading time for money only. Yeah, I did group classes, but trying to find ways to make extra income, I was limited. I wasn't going to be able to retire. Vacations were going to be tough. Buying a house in Southern California was going to be a mountain to climb. And I started pursuing other ways to make an incomes, and I didn't know where to begin, to be honest, because I'm a health coach, right? I'm a MAT specialist. I studied under Charles Poliquin, a PACP coach, a biosignature practitioner, and personal trainer. And I wanted to help people, but yet I knew I needed to make more money. I had a little bit of entrepreneur spirit. So for 5 years, I legitimately was looking at every opportunity. I started looking at franchising and realizing that's a high cost and a lot of work, and you may not get a good return on it. I started looking at online coaching. I started looking at buying my own gym and getting my own trainers on board, because I had my own gym, but I was just myself, right? It wasn't a bunch of trainers that I had to babysit. And so I was just in this weird place, and nothing seemed to make that much sense. For 5 years, I spent a lot of money investigating and looking for opportunities. And what was interesting for me, Rob, is that when I was 35 years old, after 5 years, I actually stumbled on network marketing. Now, I didn't join anything. I was the first company I got introduced to. I was not very enthusiastic about the products, but I was interested. For 3 years, Rob, I investigated this industry because I didn't know a lot about it. I know people have been told a lot about community-based marketing or network marketing or MLM or pyramid schemes. I'm like, I don't know any different. So I actually went to one of my mentors. He's one of my clients, who's a very wealthy man, and I asked him. I go, what do you think about this? And I was surprised, but he was very much behind it. And he gave me all these, articles and things to read. And he goes, the biggest thing I want you to tell you, he goes, it's a business. He goes, it's a real business. He goes, they're not a scheme. They've been around for a long time. He goes, they're a viable business. He goes, you have to treat it like that. He goes, don't just try something. You have to do it. And that was the best piece of advice I got, Rob. And so for 3 years, I investigated this industry. I found Pruvit. I found this product and this company in the most random way. I had a guy who's a very heavy guy, unhealthy man, at least physically. Mentally, he's very strong. Introduced this to me, and it's forever changed my life because I knew I needed a community to be part of. I needed a team. I needed mentorship because I'm not really good at sales and selling. I needed to know systems to follow, and I really needed to stand behind a product that wasn't going to tarnish my reputation, that I could stand behind with all this amazing research. So that's my story, and it's forever changed my family's life. We now live in Northern California. We have multiple homes, and we travel the world with our family and our kids. And I didn't expect to go full time. I didn't expect to leave my career and my day-to-day practice. That was never my intention. It just happened that then ended up being my path. Now I want to help trainers and coaches and health practitioners around the world do the same thing to whatever level they want to do it at.
It's interesting, Dustin. A few things you said. Number one, I think oftentimes the resistance is not so much the message, but the messenger.
Right.
And I'm grateful that you actually listened to a messenger that didn't look or represent the message. When we're in the health, fitness, nutrition industry, we kind of pride and hang our hat on credibility and compliance. And when someone heavy, out of shape, or overweight approaches us with something in our industry, remember, we're in the industry. We have a lot of pride, arrogance, ego. We already know it all. And so it's interesting to know that you ran with the message, not based on the messenger. So I don't want anyone to make that mistake. Maybe someone forwarded you this video and they're working on becoming better, but they're not yet there. Hopefully we're delivering information that can add value. Number one. Number two, Dustin, you mentioned, you didn't anticipate on doing this full time, but I think scalability is fascinating to me. I owned Athlete Performance Center. It was actually, I'm so prideful, I called it Rob DeBoer's Athlete Factory. I was a former 2-sport captain, University of South Carolina, football, baseball. I did strongman bodybuilding. I played pro baseball for a number of seasons. and then ended up kind of planting my flag in Columbia, South Carolina, training athletes from Pop Warner kids to NFL combine prospects and everyone in between. And one of the things I realized is I'm kind of stuck on this small scale. I'm not going to expand into Nebraska, where I'm originally from. How am I going to build business or generate income in Iowa or Wisconsin or Arizona? And I think that's one of the things that's fascinating about this. And the reason I say that is I shared this message of ketones with carbohydrates. Now, that's an oxymoron 8 years ago, but it's a very real scientific methodology now for athlete performance, human optimization, and everything in between. And I reached out to a buddy of mine who was resistant. You know, I like carbs. I'm not going to give up carbs. And I said, Shane, his name was Coach Shane Friels in Texas. Long story short, Shane was in a relationship with someone that lived in Canada. They were a member at a CrossFit gym. Next thing you know, Shane and I are sitting on a cold concrete floor in Collingwood, Ontario, Canada. The CrossFit box, what was it? CrossFit Massimo of Michelle and John Smay. So, Michelle, I know we've kind of brought you on here spur of the moment, but I just want people to hear your experience. You know, a lot of times we aren't open, and maybe if I was just an out of shape, overweight member, you might not have listened. But Shane and I both had some level of credibility. You guys certainly weren't sold, but at least you had an open mind. And I think that's the purpose of this presentation, is just have an open mind to have an extended conversation. And I want you to share where that conversation has since gone, just starting from the beginning when Shane and I arrived.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited to share our story. So as Rob mentioned, John and I've been in the fitness world for over 20 years doing personal training. And then my husband and I opened a CrossFit box, which we had for 10 years, and then moved entirely online just recently. But I did first find this product online about 6 years ago. I saw somebody saying that they were drinking ketones, and I knew about ketones from the fitness world, from doing physique and bodybuilding shows. So I knew that this was, at the time, I said, it's definitely not legit. But I contacted the person because I wanted to know a little bit more about it. I had also contacted one of my mentors. She's a really good friend of mine, but she also has a degree in science. I'm like, hey, have you heard of these drinkable ketones? And she's like, listen, if this stuff says what it does what it says it does, and you guys legit need to get involved. So we were closet ketone drinkers for 30 days. We bought the product, didn't tell any of our gym members because, again, we didn't want, our credibility to go wayside. And we blood tested every single day because we truly did not believe that this product would work. And it was legit. It was totally legit. It is totally legit and definitely rooted in science. Heather's actually the person I'm speaking of. She came and sat on the cold floor to listen to Shane and Rob because I'm like, I want you to listen to these guys. And like, I don't know if this is like, still not thinking it's real. And then from there, we started bringing the product into the gym, and we would just put boxes up on our shelves, but we would do regular transformation challenges in our gym, and we would talk about ketones, not the keto diet, because that's not the type of transformations that we were doing with people. We were doing transformations that were sustainable, and ketones allowed them to almost get immediate overall results and kept them kind of on that track to where they needed to go. So it was always a great starting point for people, and they knew and believed in us. So it was easy for us to share it with other people. Now,
I love that.
I did not get involved for the opportunity. I was selfishly thinking of just John and I. We needed these ketones for us, for muscle mass, with all of our training and recovery. That is solely what I was thinking about. And over time, it's been 6 years now, as we started to earn more income, it actually allowed us to have more free time and invest and give us the confidence to invest in other people to run our gym, to run our other business.
I love it. What's interesting is you were very quick to point out, look, we didn't do this to pursue an opportunity. And then here you are 6 years later. What Michelle didn't say is this led me into multiple different CrossFit boxes. They ended up getting into a box out in St. John's and another box in Canada. And now they're down in Mexico, relocating their lives. And the reason this is important is because, number one, we'll talk about the product at another time. In fact, Dustin and I have done a whole series, the top 10 objections from the health, fitness, nutrition industry, because they were our objections. Well, I don't want to do the keto diet. Why would I drink ketones when my body can make them? I believe this is a fad, or I don't like the network marketing model, or whatever it is. We've already covered all that. The purpose of this is the ability to scale and create compliance in your current customers. Like, think about that. Is it the ketones? Is it the coaching? Is it the programming? Or is it all of the above? Like, your coaching and programming is providing your revenue, but what if it were the ketones that created compliance for them to continue coaching, continue programming? Number one. And number two, here's what we found that happened naturally. Somebody has success and they call their sister that lives in Des Moines, Iowa. Well, I don't have any friends in Des Moines, Iowa. I didn't have any friends in Canada, and I certainly didn't have any friends in Canada that were owners of CrossFit boxes. So the reason I think this is such a powerful conversation for entrepreneurs in the health, fitness, nutrition industry is over the past 8 years, this is just 3 examples of people that have learned to scale. Number one, based on customers. Number two, Dustin was pursuing an opportunity. How do I go do more? How do I buy back time? How do I leverage, think of this, my time, effort, and energy? What if you had someone to come alongside with you and say, hey, if we promise this will create greater compliance among your members, your athletes, your customers, your body of work, and it will never compromise your credibility based on science and patents and exclusivity and an 8-year track record with specialists renowned throughout the world. What if we could come alongside you and show you what we've done? Maybe it's just you starting off with Michelle. Hey, this is for us. We just want to experience this. We want to see what it can do for us. Or maybe it's someone like Dustin. Hey, how can I go scale this without a really big investment? Or maybe it's someone like me. How can I go prove this, creating compliance and credibility amongst just a bunch of customers? That's what we have to offer to you. And I'm so grateful that you two joined me. Dustin, I'll throw it back over to you for any parting words if there's anything I missed. But our goal is real simple. We want to engage you in a deeper conversation with no strings attached. No getting and gotcha. Oh, by the way, forgot to tell you this. We didn't mention that. No, we just want to have a deeper conversation to show you why this works every time for everyone that follows a real system. And we're just 3, 8, 6, 7, 8 year examples that can validate that for you. You're muted.
Well, thank you, Rob and Michelle. I would just end it with this, is that, all of us have this big heart to help more people. We know that our world right now, the youth of our countries are the first time in history are not going to outlive our grandparents. The first time in history. So if we don't make a change that's bigger than just the 10, 20 people that we're seeing on a regular basis, or maybe 150 if you own a box, we have to do this together. And what I'm passionate about now is how do we find more like-minded people that are out there trying to pursue a message. We can all agree upon a few things, right? Eat cleaner, healthier foods, eat less processed food, eat less carbs and sugars in excess, right? Us three will agree that ketones should be a part of that because what we've seen scientifically and metabolically in people's lives. And we can stand behind that. We work with vegans in all around the world. I work with carnivores. We work with them all. And the one common denominator is ketones can play or will play a huge role in their long-term success. So if you want to be part of a big mission of let's really change the health of our country, and the way to do that isn't to start at the top. The way to do that is to start with your clients, yourself, your family, and start getting better today and become the example for everybody out there. And I know as a trainer, I was struggling myself just to stay healthy because I was burning the bridges at both sides. I was overtrained. I wasn't sleeping enough. I was trying to get through the financial struggles, and I wasn't serving me the right way. Now it's changed so much. So I would say get back to whoever shared this video with you, and you might get back on a call with one of us. Definitely dig into some of the videos that we've done and be informed, utilize our products, and let's go change millions of lives around the world. So thank you all. Appreciate you, Rob. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, guys. Michelle, say hey to Coach John Dustin. Thanks for jumping on. And again, guys, just want to encourage you, get back and have a conversation with one of us or whoever shared this with you. Let's get your questions answered. No pressure, no get in, no gotcha. let's just have that open dialogue and conversation and see where it goes. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you guys later.